Hello dear students, today we will see the physical and chemical properties of dihydrogen as well as we will discuss about the hydrides. So let's begin with physical properties of dihydrogen. Hydrogen is colorless, odorless and tasteless gas. It is sparingly soluble in water due to non-polar nature. Density of dihydrogen is 0.09 gram per liters. Boiling point is 20.4 Kelvin, and palladium metal can absorb hydrogen gas. Now let's discuss its chemical properties. Actually, the hydrogen-hydrogen bond dissociation enthalpy is the highest for a single bond between two atoms of any element. And at 5000 Kelvin, it dissociates to 95.5%. It is relatively inert at room temperature due to high hydrogen-hydrogen bond enthalpy. Its nature: hydrogen gas is a neutral gas and it does not affect litmus paper. For combustion reaction, hydrogen is highly combustible and in presence of air, it burns with pale blue, light blue flame. It does not support combustion. Okay, it is highly combustible but it does not support combustion. These points are clear to you all. And the combustion product is water. And this reaction is highly exothermic, means heat will be released, and its calorific value is higher than other fuels. This only point we will use in the application of hydrogen gas, uses of hydrogen gas, its combustion property. Hydrogen can react with halogens, giving corresponding halide. Reaction with dioxygen, water will be formed. Reaction with dinitrogen, ammonia will be formed. Reaction with metals, we will make the hydrides, and these when the transition metals and dihydrogen, when they combine, they form industrial hydrides. Okay, under suitable conditions, hydrogen react with metals to form hydrides, which are chiefly ionic. Alkali metals and alkaline earth metals, except beryllium, react with hydrogen directly. You have done the experiment of releasing hydrogen gas in the laboratory, and that hydrogen can react with the metals. Reaction with metals we have seen. Now let's see with non-metals. When hydrogen will react with oxygen, water will be formed. When it will react with nitrogen, in a Haber's process, we prepare ammonia with this hydrogen. Reducing action: dihydrogen reduces oxides of certain less electropositive metals. What it means? It means that these are generally less electropositive than zinc and place above hydrogen in electrochemical series. Children, you have to learn the electrochemical series by heart. It will not ask you every time, or it will not be given in the book every time. It should be learnt by you all for every time. That electrochemical series, learn it, then you will easily identify what is the position of hydrogen, where rest of the elements are, which are above, which are below, because we will use these terms for many times. Now let's see the uses of dihydrogen. Okay, in the synthesis of ammonia, which is used in the manufacture of nitric acid and nitrogenous fertilizers, means ammonia is prepared in bulk. Industries are there, and mostly we use the Haber's process, and in Haber's process you can see that we are using hydrogen, which is combining with dinitrogen to form ammonia. Hydrogen is also used for manufacture of vanaspati ghee, means vanaspati fat. It is hydrogen is used to prepare bulk organic chemicals, particularly methanol. When carbon monoxide reacts with dihydrogen and their cobalt will be the catalyst, methanol CH3OH is formed. In the manufacture of metal hydrides, we use the dihydrogen. In the metallurgical processes, it is used to reduce heavy metal oxides to metals. If you can remember your metallurgy, whatever you have studied, wherever it was asked for the reduction, we have just used the hydrogen there. Atomic hydrogen and oxyhydrogen torches find use for cutting and welding purposes. It is used in fuel cells for generating electrical energy and as a rocket fuel in space research. The most important point use of dihydrogen is as a how we can use it as an alternate source of energy, means hydrogen economy. Many of the scientists are working for it. Many of my friends, those who are in different laboratories, they are also trying to find out the source by which we can prepare maximum hydrogen and we can replace petrol diesel with this hydrogen, though it is combustible, but the product which is coming out, that is what means the product which is formed, that is not also a polluting agent. So many of the scientists are just involved in hydrogen economy. Listen to it. Hydrogen has been considered as one of the alternate source of energy, and one major advantage of using hydrogen as a fuel is that it is environmentally clean, giving only water as a combustion product. Secondly, the heat of combustion of hydrogen per gram. In the beginning only, I have told you that it gives when heat of combustion of hydrogen per gram is 143 kilojoule per gram and is higher than any other fuel. The only pollutant will be oxides of dinitrogen due to its impurity. The basic principle of hydrogen economy is the transportation and storage of energy in the form of liquid or gaseous dihydrogen. Advantage of hydrogen economy is that energy is transmitted in the form of dihydrogen and not as electric power. Pilot project using dihydrogen as fuel was launched in October 2005 for running automobiles. Nowadays, it is also used in fuel cells for generating the electric power. Now let's move on to hydrides. What are hydrides? Dihydrogen under certain conditions combines with almost all elements except noble gases to form binary compounds which are called hydrides. Hydrides are of three types: ionic hydrides, covalent hydrides, and metallic hydrides. Let's see what is ionic or saline or salt-like hydrides. These are stoichiometric compounds of dihydrogen formed with most of the S block elements. You have to remember, most of the S block elements are involved in forming ionic hydrides, which are highly electropositive in character, but significant covalent character is found in lighter metal hydrides such as lithium hydride, beryllium hydride, magnesium hydride. Okay, what will be the properties of these? The ionic hydrides are crystalline, non-volatile, and non-conducting in solid state. But in molten state, they conduct electricity and liberate hydrogen at anode during electrolysis, and it confirms the presence of hydride ion. Okay, let's see this reaction. When this will melt, 2H negative, when this will melt at anode, it will give hydrogen gas plus electron will be released. So it confirms the presence of hydride ion. Saline hydrides react violently with water producing hydrogen gas. Lithium hydride is rather unreactive to moderate temperatures with oxygen or chlorine. It is used in the synthesis of other useful hydrides. So, your ionic hydrides means when hydrogen combines with S block element, that will give you your ionic hydrides. Let's move on to covalent hydrides. When dihydrogen forms molecular compounds with most of the P block elements. Okay, S for ionic, P for covalent hydrides, and this is also called molecular hydrides. For example, methane, CH4, NH3, H2O, HF, being covalent in nature, are volatile compounds. Molecular hydrides are further classified into three categories: electron deficient hydrides, electron precise hydrides, and electron rich hydrides. One by one we will see. Electron deficient hydrides are such hydrides are formed by the group 13 elements. In group 13, I have asked you to learn the periodic table thoroughly. In group 13, after zinc, the P block is starting P1, that is boron is there. So B2S6 will be its example, and they act as the Lewis acids. Means they are electron acceptors. So they are known as electron deficient hydrides. Electron is less, so they will accept the electrons, so they are Lewis acids. Next is your electron precise hydrides. These compounds have the required number of electrons to write their conventional Lewis structure. All elements of group 14 form such compounds. For example, CH4, C2S6, C2H2, etc. Third is your electron rich hydrides, and these compounds have excess electrons in the form of lone pairs. So elements of group 15 to 17 form such compounds. For example, NH3, when you will see the formation of NH3, nitrogen is bearing a lone pair of electron. When you will see the formation of water, you can see that oxygen is still having two lone pairs of electron. When we will see the structure of HF, hydrogen fluoride, you will find that fluorine is having three lone pairs of electrons. So they behave as Lewis bases, that is electron donors, and the presence of lone pairs on highly electronegative atoms like nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine in hydrides are responsible for the hydrogen bond formation, and which leads to the association of molecules. So this was your covalent or molecular hydrides. Let's move on to metallic or interstitial hydrides. These are also known as non-stoichiometric hydrides. S for ionic, P for covalent. Now let's see what is coming in metallic hydrides. Many transition and inner transition elements, means D and F block elements, form metallic hydrides, and the transition elements of group 3, 4 and 5 form metallic hydrides. In group 6, only chromium forms the hydride CrH. Then there is a gap and of elements of 7, 8 and 9 do not form hydrides, and this only is known as your hydride gap. You can see in this table, metallic hydrides are being formed, but group 7, 8, 9, these are not forming the hydrides, and this only is termed as hydride gap. And the hydrides of nickel, palladium, cerium, actinium are interstitial hydrides, which means that hydrogen atoms occupy the interstitial sites. Okay, interstitial hydrides means hydrogen is just occupying the interstitial sites of those hydrides. And some of the metals, for example platinum, can accommodate a large volume of hydrogen and therefore can be used as its storage media, and this property has high potential for hydrogen storage as a source of energy. So metallic hydrides conduct electricity and heat through not as efficiently as their parent metals do, like saline hydrides. Okay, so this was your physical chemical properties and then hydrides. In my next lecture, I'll come with the topic related to water, ice. Okay, that will be dealt in the next lecture. For this lecture, I am going to stop here. Thank you so much, children.